Yeah, you'd rather.
Some stranger.
I know.
All right, let's get started, everybody.
Can I have some literature?
Oh, you didn't get one. Okay. There we go.
Sure.
So welcome to 2019, everybody. So how many of you attended last year's business planning sessions?
Some.
A couple of you. So remember I said that we were going to revamp the business plan for 2019, right? So this is a completely revamped Hallmark business planning tools. So if you want to write this down, it's going to be on Hallmark Hub soon under a business planning tools section. However, you're one of the first groups that will ever see this new business plan. So you should be proud and happy with yourselves, right? It's completely revised, completely revamped. There you go, Jenny. So if you want to write it down to have access to all of the tools that we're going to be talking about today, go to www.rem.ax slash rem.ax slash HBP.
It's like Megan sent the link.
Yes, Megan sent the link. So in your email, you already have it. But what you'll see there is this folder where you see all of the new business planning tools. Again, this is going to be on the Hallmark Hub, probably by the end of today or tomorrow. But you'll have two versions of this Hallmark business plan for 2019. One is a fillable PDF, so if you want to save paper in the future, which we didn't here, but if you want to do this on your laptop and then fill in all the numbers, you can do that. The other one is the print version, which I've given to each and every one of you. There's also the daily activity tracker and the goal setting sheet as well. And there's going to be a Hallmark business plan worksheet on Excel. So I'm going to show you why that's going to be important a bit later, because when you do all of your number crunching, you're going to be using that Excel sheet in order for you to be able to find out what we call your lifestyle number, which is a number that you need in order for you to be able to succeed in 2019. So I'm going to try to fit this in about an hour so that we'll finish off at 10:15. Yesterday, I did this at Richmond Hill. It took 2 hours, so I got to do a better job at compressing it. So just bear with me, okay? So welcome to 2019 Remax Hallmark Business Plan and Goal Setting Guide. So I want you to go along with me as we go through this activity together. And what we're going to be achieving at the end of this session is your business plan and your goal setting for 2019. Right? There's a lot of detail in what we're going to be doing, and feel free to chime in with your comments, your feedback, your ideas, just as we usually do with our morning group discussions, right? This is going to be recorded. It's right now on my own private Facebook Live groups where I record all of my videos. I'm going to be downloading it and sending it to each and every single one of you if you send me an email for the video, just so I remember to do it, right? So shoot me an email if you want reference to this video, and I'll send it to you. So we'll start. So the leadership team, Ken, Deborah, Steve, Barb, and all of the broker managers here and in Ottawa, we all collectively pushed through to revamp this entire business plan in order for each and every single one of you to be very successful in the year to come, right? 2018 has been a challenging year for many. Some of our fellow realtors have had record-breaking years. Some of us had a bit of a challenge. 2019, we're going to be addressing the kind of things and kind of strategies and ideas that we need in order for us to be able to succeed this year, right? There's an entrepreneurial path that we take with this business planning, and this is it. This is an 11-step business plan that we're going to be going through in the next hour, right? The launch program itself is an 8-week coaching and accountability program. This is the first session. This is the first week. There's going to be 7 subsequent weeks where we're going to be talking about different topics such as working with buyers, sellers, prospecting, open house strategies, all sorts of things, and helping you market and develop your business. So what are the 11 steps that we're going to go through today? The first step is going to be talking about your aspirations, right? I strongly believe that in order for you to be able to succeed, not only in this year but in the years to come, in any endeavor that you do, you have to be clear about what you want. So what is your purpose? What's your aspiration? So in the very first step, we're going to be talking about what you want to achieve, right? What are your aspirations? Step 2, we're going to be talking about a personal budget. How many of you here already have a personal budget? Okay, so Ozzy has a personal budget. Who else has a personal budget? Anybody else? Okay, Harry. So a couple of you have a personal budget. personal budget is, how much do you spend for your personal life, right? So your mortgage, your utilities, taxes, your car, all the different things that you do, vacations you go on, home expenses, kids expenses, groceries. Whereas in step 3, we're talking about a business budget. We're going to talk about the things that you need in order for you to fund your business. How many of you have a business budget, right? Which is for real estate specifically, like your TRED or RIA dues, which are due, by the way, at the end of the month. REMAX fees, RICO fees, advertising that you spend, your business car, right? Taking clients out for lunch or dinner, client events, right? All of the different marketing materials. So we're going to talk about a business budget as well. Step number 4, we're going to talk about the lifestyle number. So when you combine your personal and business budget, which we're going to dabble in a bit today, using the worksheet, it's going to come up with a lifestyle number. Basically, the lifestyle number is going to be a combination of your personal and business budget, and you're going to see why that number is important as we proceed with this. Step 5, we're going to set the financial goal for the year. Step 6, we're going to talk about a daily contact target. So why is the lifestyle number important? Because the lifestyle number is going to give you an idea of what your daily contact should be, right? Real estate is a contact sport, wouldn't you agree? So everything that you do this year, and in every year that you're going to be involved in real estate sales, it's going to come down to the daily activities that you do. And the daily activities that you do are measurable primarily by the contacts you make, right? So we're going to see how having a budget for personal and business, establishing a lifestyle number will also help you define what your daily activities as far as contacts should be. All right? Step number 7 is we're going to look at what worked for you last year. So last year you should have been recording, the different activities that you've done, the different prospecting, marketing activities. What worked for you last year, right? We're going to figure that out. Step number 8, we're going to talk about selecting your marketing targets. We're going to talk about 13 different channels, or 13 different ways for you to market yourself to build your business this year. And I only expect you to choose 3 of them, right? One of them I'm going to tell you you must do, and then that really means you're left with 2 out of the 13. You're not expected to master every single one of them. And that's why you see a lot of realtors. You have this already?
Oh, yeah.
That's why you see a lot of realtors that are struggling because they're trying to dabble in a little bit of everything, but they never master 1, 2, or even 3 forms of marketing or reaching out to clients, right? So I don't want you to be one of those realtors that, one day you're doing visibles and the next day you're doing open houses, but you're never really mastering any particular one, right? There's 13. I want you to choose 3. Step number 9 is we're going to talk about the REMAX Hallmark courses. So in as much as we've completely revamped our business planning for 2019 and onward, we're also revamping some of our training and development courses. So you're going to realize that as part of this launch program and as part of the foundational courses that we're developing, there's going to be very specific courses about how to build your business, right? We're going to talk about a couple of that. Step number 10 is we're going to talk about committing and tracking your success. So how many of you here have a coach, a real estate coach? Formally. Well, how many of you paid for coaching? Yeah, a couple of you, right? Yeah. So as part of REMAX Hallmark service offerings, we do coaching and accountability. So I myself, as your broker manager, I'm able to meet with you on whether it's a weekly basis, every 2 weeks, or monthly, depending on how you want to conduct your business. But I'm here to provide coaching and accountability for you. Wow. So in a sense, this is, as I've been doing for the past year or 2, right? In a sense, this group that we have here every morning, Thursdays at 9 o'clock, at Bayview on Wednesdays we do it at 1 o'clock. This is a coaching and accountability session, except it's as a group. But individually, you're welcome to come to me. But I'm going to show you later what the admission price is of coming to see my coach, to see me as your coach. But that's step number 10. Step number 11 is we're going to talk specifically about how to set your 2019 goals. How many of you have 100 goals for this year? As you should. I'm joking. We're going to learn that there's actually a hindrance that you're going to face if you set 100 or 200 goals, right? I'm going to tell you how many goals you should set for the year and how you'll be able to achieve it. All right? Everybody ready to get started? Yes? Okay. Page,
So on Hallmark Hub?
it will be on Hallmark Hub.
Okay.
So for those of you who came in after, it's going to be on Hallmark Hub, but the link is the link on your email. That goes
Okay.
right to my personal
Okay,
folder.
okay,
So this is going to be on Hallmark Hub too.
okay.
So page number 4, I want you to write down your aspirations. What do you want to achieve, right? This is step 1. Why do you want to succeed? What does success mean to you, right? So I want you to realize that there's no right or wrong answer. Depending on the activity that you want to provide for the activity that you want to do this year, if you want to make 100% club or platinum club or chairman's club or titan or diamond, right? It's really an answer that's up to each and every single one of you as an individual. There's no right or wrong, right? You can't base your success and compare it with somebody else's, right? Because you may not be having the same experience or doing the same amount of work or making the same sacrifice as somebody else. Likewise, somebody can't be looking at you and say, why is John doing so well? Why can't I be as good as him? Right? Right? Of course you do, right? So what I want you to realize is that part of planning out a successful business is you've got to have your own aspirations. An aspiration is something that you want to achieve in your life. So on the left side of this page, you're going to see all of the different, ideas of aspirations. Putting kids through college, toasting at 30th anniversary on the Eiffel Tower, retiring at 60, paying off a home by 2022, which is 3 years from now, buying 3 rental properties, volunteering in a homeless shelter 20 hours a week, writing a book, which is one of my personal aspirations for this year, buying an electric car and saving the earth. So what I want you to do is brainstorm some aspirations that you want to achieve. So go ahead and write them down, and then we're going to be sharing them with each other.
Pay me more money.
Pay Steve more money is your aspiration.
Ah, that means you make more money, you pay me more money.
When you're ready, go ahead and you can share.
You don't want to sit? They can squeeze around the table.
Fillable one too, right?
You know, maybe the other
There's a
side.
fillable one. If you go back
Oh,
to the
there
folder,
is?
there's a
Yeah,
fillable
right
one.
beside sit. You can sort of sit.
Just press his feet. And the first one is a fillable.
Ah, amazing. Yeah, I just feel like I might lose this.
Yeah.
So.
So save it as
Yeah.
fillable.
No, I'm moving.
It's designed for it, right?
Yeah. That's it. Thank you. I don't want her to sit alone.
So what are some of your aspirations? Yes, Nizam.
Well, I wanted to say I would want to retire earlier than 60, but I will take 60.
You'll take 60?
Retire at
Okay.
60.
But you wanted to retire this year, but okay, 60 is fine.
Actually, how much money do we need for retirement?
How much money do you need for retirement? That's a good question.
It depends.
Well,
It depends. Your
No,
lifestyle.
roughly like average.
How
like,
much do you plan to live? How long do you plan to live?
How long do you plan to live?
Many factors goes into it. It's a very broad question.
mind you, for me, it's 30 years from now,
30
right?
years
So
from now.
a lot can change.
You're
from
still
now.
young. You got a long way to go. Right?
No, I just would say like average in Canada, like how much do people need to prepare for their retirement? That's a
Mhm.
general. That we, no, of course, like something you can just.
How much do you? It's based on each individual because it depends on how much do you spend annually. If
Your
you spend
lifestyle.
$1,000 a month, it means 12,000 a year, right? Approximately. So you have to give yourself about 25 to 30 years for retirement. 12,000 or 15,000 a year for 30 years. How much do you time? How much do you need? It depends how much money you spend
Depends on your
annually.
lifestyle too, right?
You have to calculate.
Because yesterday I saw an article. It's about the retirement. They said in BC, you have to have $1.07 million for your retirement, but average for all the provinces, it will be 0.7 million. So I just don't know, like in Toronto.
What do you mean it's
like,
0.7?
yeah, it's
Is
like
that
the
saving
range.
money
The range
or?
is big, right? So I just say, so roughly, how much do we need to prepare?
I think at least about maybe $500,000 to $700,000 you have to have in your bank for retirement.
For the save, like put it in the saving account, right?
So the calculation depends again. These are good answers. It's on your lifestyle. So for example,
And
you're-
also have to pay off the all the mortgages, all the
Yeah,
debts before
absolutely.
retirement, and then you have $0.5 million there.
Which is why you should look at, as much as possible one of your aspirations could be having investment properties. My aspiration is to have 10 investment properties. How I do it, I'm going to figure that out, right? But when you look at, if you have X amount of investment properties, and by the time they're paid off, or if that's your aspiration, is you make enough in terms of your gross commission income to start paying those off, you should be looking at what kind of retirement income that's going to bring for you. Like if you had 3 investment properties free and clear, and let's say they're condos, and they're generating $1,500 after you pay maintenance fees, let's say, right? 1,500 times 3 is what, $4,500 a month, right? That's not bad, right? But if you need $10,000 a month to fund your retirement, then you're going to need more investment properties or more passive income sources, or you need to be able to build up a team in real estate so that they're selling for you after you retire, right? So there's a lot of different ways. And that's the reason why we've revamped this business plan, is because we want you to see an even bigger picture of what you need to achieve, right? Does that make sense? So who else would like to share some of their aspirations? Sid.
I wrote it down here. Is it okay?
Okay.
Freedom to be able to remove all the barriers that is restricting me from to achieve what I really would love to do, and it may differ from time to time. For example, providing for my kids to finish university without having hard time due to financially burdens that it may hold them back or off-road.
Right.
So that's one of the
So
aspirations.
freedom, removing barriers, financial for the most part, and having resources to be able to pay off your kids' education, right? And that becomes a specific figure. Who else wants to share? That's a good one. Who else wants to share? Andrew, what's one of your aspirations? And then Kareem, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to challenge you for Hall of Fame this year.
Mhm. What is it?
Hall of Fame,
What is it?
the
Oh, Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, Hall of Fame. So Hall of Fame is $1 million, right, through your career.
Yes.
So for Andrew, he has a specific number that he knows he needs
Yeah.
to get this year in order for him to be able to get Hall of Fame. So that's his aspiration, right? Very good. Kareem.
Are these short? I was gonna ask a question. Are
Sure.
these short-term or long-term aspirations?
It's up to you. I
Okay.
mean,
Well, my
which-
long-term one is to be able to reach a point that I can work for some of the year, but also like travel for
Okay.
a couple months a year
Nice.
without like having a self-sustaining business.
Right. So be able to have the flexibility that you work X number of months, take a certain number of months off, and you'll still sustain your business. That's a very good one. So lifestyle freedom to be able to enjoy your life and have a good work-life balance, right? So good. Why do you think these aspirations are important for us to know for ourselves?
It's your target and the goal, right?
It's your target and goal. Why is it on the first page of this entire, page 4, but why is it one of the first pages of this entire business plan? Why do you think it is?
To have a purpose.
To have a purpose, right? So your production this year and how serious you are about your business is going to depend on how strong your aspirations are and if they mean something to you. If your aspirations are not strong enough and they don't mean anything for you, it's going to reflect on your performance, wouldn't you agree? So when you look at our industry and when you look at realtors who are struggling today, and I'm not talking about market factors, I'm talking about motivational factors or lifestyle issues that they're having, right? It's because the aspirations are not strong enough. And let's face it, right? Nobody's going to tell you what you should aspire for in this life. That's up to you, right? There's going to be a connection between what you're aspiring for and the means for you to be able to achieve it, right? So if your aspirations are strong enough, if your aspirations are strong enough, you're going to be able to find a way, right? Think about the last time you had to overcome a challenge, right? Think about the last time you had to overcome a challenge and it was such a strong motivating factor for you to overcome that you found a way to be able to achieve it, right? That's what an aspiration is, in a sense, right? It's something that you're striving for. So everything you do in 2019, everything we discuss in our business plan, all of your goals, all of the activities that you do on a daily basis is going to reflect upon how strong your aspirations are and how serious you are about achieving them. Because if you need to be able to pay off your kids' education, if you need to be able to reach Hall of Fame, if you need 3 properties or 10 income properties, if you want to go to 3 months, 4 months traveling the world, if you want to go to Hawaii every year, which is what I'd love to do, right? I'd love to buy a place out there or a villa or a condo or something like that. Right? You're going to be excited every single day about achieving your goals, specifically the daily contact goals that we're going to be talking about a bit later, right? Anybody have any questions about your aspirations or want to share? If you do coaching and accountability with me, I'd love to hear it. That's what gets me excited, is hearing each and every single one of you what you're aspiring for, because that's what drives our purpose, right, in our business. So let's go to the next page, which is page 5, and this is where the fun begins. I told a lot of you that I have an accounting background. I used to be striving for a CGA designation, which I never ended up doing because it got boring after a while, right? But this is where a lot of number crunching comes in. But we try to make it very easy for you. You're going to be working on your personal budget and your business budget. Now, I don't expect you to complete this right here. Otherwise, we'd take hours, right? What I want to show you, especially for those of you coming just now, is if you go to the Hallmark, this is going to be on Hallmark Hub under Business Planning Tools, either today or tomorrow. But this is my personal folder that I've given all of you access to. So if you got the email and you see the link, www.rem.ax/HBP, you're going to have access to this Hallmark Business Plan worksheet here. So take this, when you go home, this is going to be your homework. I want you to complete your personal budget on this tab, your business budget on this tab we're going to talk about afterwards, and then your lifestyle number, but let's focus on the personal budget first. When you use this worksheet, if you want to do it by hand, you can write it down on your form, on your sheets, right? You can also use the fillable PDF, but the fillable PDF does not have an auto calculator. So unfortunately, I haven't figured that out yet, right? But this worksheet on Excel here, I want you to enter your monthly average. Don't touch anything else because it'll mess up the formulas, right? So download this worksheet, enter your monthly average, right? In a worst case scenario, estimate what it costs to run your life, right? A lot of agents who are struggling financially are doing so because they haven't figured out what their personal budget is, let alone their business budget, right? So if you're in a situation, and hey, we've all been there, where you're behind on taxes, HST, CRA is coming after you for HST that you were supposed to pay, right? Or you're in credit card debt, or there's so many loans, and all of these different things. It's because we haven't figured out our personal budget yet. And there's a lot of personal finance, like self-help books that I can recommend to you if you're in that kind of a situation. But one of the most important things, and a testament to how serious you are about doing this business plan, is filling out a simple worksheet that shows your personal budget. You should know this number anyway, right? So if you need help, I can show you what mine looks like. I'm not going to show it to you here, but it includes every single detail of your personal budget, like that runs your life, right? Your household, your groceries, your cell phone bills if it's personal, like your kids or your spouse's cell phone bills. Groceries, dry cleaning, house cleaning, if you have house cleaning, gas, auto insurance, auto repairs, etc. All of your savings, retirement, RSP, TFSA, long-term savings, 5 credit card payment slots here. If you have 10, add more lines for your credit cards, right? How many of you have 10 credit cards?
I do, but they are
You
not
do?
active.
You're all inactive, right?
But I don't use them all. I don't
Yeah.
like to receive the bill, so I
Right.
keep only 1 or 2 active.
Pay it off, right? Magazines, newspaper, life insurance, health insurance. Please go through this, right? Especially now. Now more than ever is a good year to start this, right? How many of you have a personal budget that looks something like this? Right? A couple, right? Would it make your life easier if you knew what kind of money you need
No.
to run your personal
It's
life?
best not to know. No,
Best
just
not to
kidding.
know.
Sometimes it is.
When you know how much it costs to run your personal life, you're going to take your work a lot more seriously. Like, believe it. Right? So when I talk to our top producing agents, the ones in the Titan Club to $1 Million Plus Club, I'm surprised that every single one of them has budgets like this. And as the lower income you go, right? 100,000 is still great income, but correlation-wise, it seems to me that the majority of earners that are in this bracket are the ones that are not clear about their personal finances. So it's not a coincidence that the more money you make is because you start adapting habits or financial knowledge and literacy to help you manage your money better, right? And if you look out there at maybe your peers or your friends or people you know who are broke, ask them if they have a personal budget, right? Just saying. So let's go to this. There's a couple of these that you're going to go through. How many of you have any questions with regards to this?
So the one that is online is blank, and you can fill
Yes.
it up, and it will give you the answer of how much you need approximately.
That's
annually.
right. You
Okay.
put in your monthly. If it's hard for you to pull your receipts from your shoebox or wherever you keep it, right? Just estimate.
Don't
Right.
even go there.
So there's apps. For example, I use something called Wave apps where I take a picture of my receipts, and then I send it up to Upwork. How many of you have ever used Upwork? Upwork is a freelance jobs website, and I have somebody in the Philippines who takes all my receipts that have taken a picture and uploaded there. He verifies the numbers, and he categorizes everything for me.
QuickBooks
Right.
does that.
QuickBooks does it.
does that, yeah, but you're gonna pay for it, right?
$5 a month.
No, over
How
$10,
much,
I
how much
think.
for the
I
monthly
pay
fee?
$5.
Mine is free, so Wave Apps is free, and I just pay somebody to manually look at it, just to make
Right.
sure.
QuickBooks takes it from your bank account.
Yeah, so
Takes your
QuickBooks,
pay and everything.
Yeah.
yeah, so if you have something that can integrate into an accounting software, like, the idea here is to make your life easier, not to complicate it,
Right.
right? So if you have all of these things, QuickBooks is great for that, Wave Apps is great for this, like, Wave Apps also can import your bank accounts
One
and all
thing
that sort
about
of thing.
QuickBooks I might mention, that is good that you can, when it's time for your accountant to look at everything,
Mhm.
you can share the website of your work with your accountant, you don't even have to go there and
Yes.
they will tell you, so it's a good
Yeah,
Actually,
site to.
I think it's very easy, like weekly or like daily. You just put the whatever you the expenses on
Mhm.
on a paper, like a kind of like bookkeeping.
yeah, bookkeeping.
Yeah. So yeah.
So one way or another, it doesn't matter how you do it, whether it's automated, QuickBooks Online, paper-based, shoebox, doesn't matter. As long as you put these expenses together. And again, if you need help, I can go through it with you. Now I'm going to give you a shortcut. I don't want you to take the shortcut because I want you to know in detail what you need to take to run your life. But most of you have an idea of at what point does your bank account reach 0 or negative, right? So whatever that income point is, if you need to take a shortcut, and for today's purpose, we're going to do that just for illustrative purposes, then at least you have a starting point. But I urge every single one of you to know this in detail. Now let's go to the business budget. The business budget is what it takes to run your business. How many of you have a separate business account for your business versus your personal bank account I'm talking about? 2, 3, 4, less than half of the room, 5, okay, now half of the room, right? Why, for those of you who separated this, why is it easier to have a business bank account separate from your personal?
Because of GST.
GST, HST payments, right? Yeah, so you can't make a $5,000 HST payment from a personal bank account, depending on your limit, of course. But from a business account, you can do that, right? What else?
So it's easier to track your business expense and,
Mhm.
like.
Because the accountant wants it that way.
Yeah, accounting, tracking business, right? And it's also for discipline purposes, right? So, for example, if you get a $20,000 paycheck today, and it goes into your personal bank account, and you have $10,000 or $15,000 in your bank account, what are you going to do? What are you tempted to do? Shop, buy a car, pay for a trip,
Yeah.
pay shoes,
Another
Walk over to
purses,
Baby Village.
right? Buy a new watch over to Baby Village, right? When you separate it, you're not going to miss the money, and you're not going to see it unless you keep going into your business bank account, right? But now you're able to separate your finances, right? So what I'd recommend from a business perspective is, you get your paycheck from your business account, you pay your HST, and you do a portion of it for taxes. Remax Hallmark also does HST, contra account or setting aside accounts. Same with the taxes, income tax. Like if you save 20% or 25%, Remax Hallmark will take that out of your paycheck, set it aside for you, so that when it comes tax payment time, we issue you back the check, and then you just send it to the government, or you pay the government the check, right? So out of that business bank account, you're running your marketing expenses, your car leases for your business, your cell phone for your business, all of that stuff, client expenses, mailing out materials, postcards, home show ticket purchases, right? But after all that, you're taking from your business account and you're paying yourself as if you were on salary. So you take your business account, and let's say you pay yourself $1,000 a week after taxes, right? Because your business has already paid taxes, and we're not in corporations here, right? So you take $1,000 from your business and you transfer it over to your personal. Or if it's $2,000 a week, you take it from your business, you transfer it over to your personal. Right? Does that make sense? So you've already set aside the tax, so you know that the money that you're transferring from your business to personal is already after taxes have been paid. Right? So it helps you in terms of your budgeting from your personal perspective, but it also helps you run your business because you know that when you get a $20,000 paycheck, you're not making 20 grand. Right, after taxes, after the expenses that you pay for, after the amount of money you put back into building your business, you're not going to be left with $20,000. And this is what's going to, make you think about the next time your client says, hey, why don't you charge me 1% listing commission, or 1.25 or 1.5, right? It changes perspective when you realize that the commission that you're charging is intended to run your business, not your personal paycheck, right? So keep that in mind.
Also
So-
teaches you to spend wisely, I think, when you have business account, because as we all know, on a personal account, you don't have to explain any of your expenses to anybody. On a
Yeah.
business account, you have to explain to the government where
Mhm.
did this money go, and if
Yeah.
they audit you, or if they want to watch your account or check it out.
Absolutely.
You have to have an explanation for it, so you learn to spend wisely and not on unnecessary items.
Absolutely. So that's a good point, Ozzy. And raising that awareness of where you spend also makes sense. And it also raises a comfort level, because if you know that whatever money is in your personal account at that point is spendable, then go ahead and buy your shoes or purses or whatever you want, right? Because you know that even if you spend all that, you're going to be fine. That's your personal money already, right? You've already set aside for savings. You've already set aside for what it takes to run your business. You're not going to be scrambling to pay your AREA CREA fees. How many of you have already paid your, AREA CREA? That's their New Year's gift, right? You're going to pay them now, right? So to access the business budget expenses, click on this tab, and then you put in your business expenses in here, okay? So you've got personal, you've got business. What's next? So after you've done your business expenses and your personal expenses, we're going to come up with what's called a lifestyle number. This is your annual lifestyle number. Now, I briefly touched upon different awards levels. So as you know, with RE/MAX, your executive club is 50 to 100, 100% is 100 to 250, 250 to 500 is platinum, chairman's is 500 to 750, titan is 750 to million. Million up is a diamond club award, right? This is great for goal setting purposes, right? So for example, one of Andrew's aspirations was to achieve his Life Hall of Fame award this year, which is $1 million in GCI throughout your career in RE/MAX. So whatever he might need 100, he might need 200 to achieve that this year, right? But once you know your goal, you can use one of these award levels as a reference, right? So my goal is 100% club. My goal is platinum club, right? So with your annual budgeted personal expenses and your business expenses that we've gathered, you're going to come up with the net income needed after taxes. Why? Because keep in mind that your personal and your business budget is before you pay taxes, right? Before you pay taxes, right? So you haven't paid taxes yet on those expenses, right? On your income. Sorry, I'm going to correct myself. That's after you've already paid taxes. So let's use an example of, on your sheet it says 90,180. Let's round that up to 100, just for the sake of simplicity. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Right? And then from your annual budgeted business expenses, 54,000. Let's round it to, let's just make it 50, so $150,000 in total, right? So that's actually an after-tax amount. So disregard what I said earlier about before tax. That's an after-tax amount. Why? Because you need to make that money after you've paid your taxes, right? So that 150 is what you need after taxes. Does that make sense? Right? A lot of agents make a mistake of, my goal is 200,000, not realizing that after they paid their taxes, you're going to be left with a lot less.
Right.
Or my goal is making $100,000 this year, right? If you made $100,000 in gross commission income, by the time you paid your taxes, your splits, your expenses, you're only going to be left with maybe $40,000 or $50,000, right? So you've got to factor in the taxes. So using this example, there's something called a multiplier here. That multiplier takes that number, and depending on the amount of income based on your worksheets that you see there, you multiply it by 1.3, 1.35, or 1.4, because it estimates the amount of taxes you need to pay, right, in order for you to be able to arrive at a gross commission income before you pay your taxes, right? So that's called your gross commission income. Your GCI is the amount of money you made, like the top line, right, before you've paid splits, taxes, fees, business expenses, and then before you even paid yourself, right? So in this example, with a 1.35 multiplier, they need a gross commission income of $194,000, right? So for you, and we'll try to make these numbers easier for the sake of example, let's say your personal expense is 150, right? Let's say your business expenses is 50. that means you need to make $200,000 a year. So somebody take a calculator out and multiply 200 by 1.4. 280,000? Okay. So if you need $200,000 to fund your personal and business lifestyle, you actually need to gross in commissions 280,000. That's your real goal, right? If you need 100,000 to fund your lifestyle, what's 1.3 times? 1.35 times 100.
270. 1 to 170.
1.35 times 100,000.
140.
135.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
Okay. 135. So if your goal is 100,000, just straight six figures, you need 135,000, right? So in goal setting, it's very important to know this number because you might be off in terms of what you really need in order for you to fund your personal and business, and it's not going to be fun when you're short of funds, right? So each and every single one of you should come up with a lifestyle number. If you use the worksheet, it's going to come up with it for you, right? So the third tab here on this worksheet. That's your lifestyle number. That's the gross commissions needed to fund your life. Any questions about this?
It's good.
So part of what you need to do is come up with your lifestyle number. Now I'm going to tell you what we need this lifestyle number for. Page number 13. This is where we set our financial goal for the year. Okay. So you're going to come up with your lifestyle number, and we're going to figure out your commission per side. Just as an aside note, on the right side of this page, it says your numbers from last year. If you don't know your numbers from last year, for example, you don't track it for yourself, you can come and see me and we'll pull it out together. Part of what we need to do for goal setting is you have to identify what you've done in the past year, right? What you'll be able to see in the past year is what's your gross sales commissions. Did you make 100? Did you make 250? Did you make 500? A million, right? What's your average commission per side? So based on the number of transactions you did, what was your average commission that you got? Is it 10, 15, 20,000, right? How many listing sides? How many listing sides percentage? Sales side, which is the buying side, sales side percentage. So for example, are you 50-50 in terms of listings and sales? So sellers and buyers 50-50? Are you 70% listing, 30% buyers? Or are you 30% listing, 70% buyers? Yes?
So you don't take into account any rentals at all?
I guess for this example, no. I mean, if your business is heavy on business, you should modify these numbers. Like if your business is heavy on rentals, then you should modify these numbers as part of your business model. But here we're not taking it into account.
You can't because
Right.
it's going to skew your average commission per deal, right? If
Yeah,
you
it
include
will.
rentals.
So if you're making $1,200 on a listing and $20,000 on a sale, it's going to skew down your average commission, right? So treat your rentals as a bonus, even though you work harder for your rentals than your residential sales, right? You're going to figure out what your average commission rate is for listing sides and for sales, and then your average commission rate overall, and that's a percentage, right? It's not going to work out at 2.5 because, of course, there's a lot of differences. Some of you might be 2.5, some of you might be higher. Some of you might be 2.2, 2.0 if you do a bit of reductions in your commissions, right? So when you figure that out, on this sheet, you're going to type in your lifestyle number, figure out your average commission, figure out the number of closed transactions needed. Now I'm going to share an example with you that you need to realize, right? How many of you have closed 100% of the listings that you've taken this past year? So you took 5 listings, you sold all 5, and they all closed. How many of you are 100% at bat? Like you hit a home run every time?
I did.
Right, okay. Anybody else? Right? Like 100% closing rate is actually very, very, very good. And in some cases, it's not really achievable by many. Right? Why? Because you might take a listing, they might be overpriced, the market is going down in terms of price, it doesn't sell, you don't end up selling that listing. Right? So majority of agents will not sell every single house they sell. Right? Maybe you take one and you sell one, I don't know, right? And it's your sphere of influence and they're motivated to sell. But if you're taking 10 listings, chances are you're not going to sell all 10. You might sell 6, 7, 8, right? So when you factor in the activities that you need to achieve, you have to know, you have to factor in the fact that you're not going to, every listing appointment you get, you're not going to take all of those listings. You might get, 1 out of 4 that don't list with you, right?
How about the ones that you listed but you're gonna get paid this year? Like it sold, but my closing was January.
So that's talking about book like net book written business, right? as opposed to paid. So we're not going to factor that in, right? This is
So
strictly
it's gonna
about
go for the next year.
in terms of closing at paid, but in terms of the amount of, like, so if you're planning for cash flow purposes, that couldn't count because you don't get that
Right.
cash now, right? So, I mean, I understand that there's going to be a bit of that happening, right? So, what you got to realize is that the number of sites that you need, right, the number of listings that you actually take has to be higher. So we'll do an example. Let's say, for example, you close 10 listing sales, but you're at a 75% closing rate. Right? So what you do is you divide 10 by 7.5, and what do you get? Somebody do the math for me. 10 divided by 0.75.
Oops, 10 divided by 0.7.
1333. So write this example down on the back of one of these sheets. What that means is that if you want to close 10 listings, you need to take 13.3 listings. If you close 3 out of every 4. Does that make sense? Where will you get your closing ratio? Well, all you have to do is look at your trades from the past year in 2018. Look at how many listings you've taken, how many of those actually closed. So if you took 10 listings last year and you closed 7, you're at a 70% closing. So you would divide by 0.7, right? This example, you take 13 listings, you close 10, you're at a 0.75. You close 3 out of every 4. Does that make sense? If you're only closing half, you take 10 listings and you close 5, you have to divide by 0.5, right? So what does that mean? If you have 10, what's 10 divided by 0.5? 20, right? Right? 10 divided by 0.5 is 20, which means if you are at 50% closing and you want to close 10 listings, you have to take 20 listings. Does that make sense? Right? You're probably going to do a lot better than that, but I'm just giving you hypothetical examples. And in the shifting markets, these numbers might start to be realized. You know what I mean? Like you're closing, you're taking listings versus the actual ones you close might start to shift, right? Knowing this number will let you plan for the actual number of listings you need to take. Now here's another level. There's another level above that, which is how many appointments do you actually have to go on, right? So yes, you have 13 listings that you've taken, 10 of those closed, but how many listing appointments did you need to go on to get 13 listings? So using the same example, if you're at a 75% closing, so you get 3 out of 4 listing appointments you go to turn into a listing, take 13.3 and divide it by 0.75, and what do you get?
17.
17.7. 17.7777. So let's say 18. What that means is you have to go on 18 listing appointments to take 13.3 listings to close 10. So in a nutshell, if you want to close 10 listings this year, you have to go on 17.7 appointments, right? This is called a reality check because a lot of agents think they're going to hit the home run on every single at-bat they go on, right? But you and I know you go on a listing appointment, you don't get every single listing, right? They go with their aunt or uncle, they go with their best friend or whoever. They will go with a commission discount, right? Likewise, you might have that same situation where you took a listing because you were the person that they wanted to go with, right? So not every single appointment turns into a listing. I mean, I'd love it for all of you to be at 100%, but we have to be realistic, right? Same with every listing you take. Not every listing you take will close. Some of them will be overpriced. Some of them, they'll change their mind. Their motivation won't be there, right? Some of them, the last minute, buyer doesn't get financing. Well, guess what? You couldn't rely on that particular closing, right? So figure out these numbers. Same on the buyer side, right? How many buyer clients do you need to meet? How many buyers do you need to sign up on a BRA? How many will actually turn into solds, right? So same thing there. You need to factor in basically how much activity you need in order for you to talk to as many buyers or sellers as possible, and you need to have that number, right? When you're aware of the number of appointments you need to go on this year to get the results you need, right? You're going to be very aware of how you spend your time on a daily basis, wouldn't you agree? Right? You're not going to be sitting around waiting for things to happen. If you know you have to go on 18 listing appointments this year, one way or another, you're going to find those 18 listing appointments. If you know you need to sign up, 15 buyers this year to make 10 sales on the buyer side, you're going to find a way to get those 15 BRAs signed.
If
right?
even then, but that number
even
sometimes, it's
Yeah.
not enough sometimes.
Sometimes it's not enough, right? the RE/MAX Hallmark Realtors on average in 2017 completed 14.6 transactions, just to give you an idea. And this is, you know, Toronto, York, Durham, Ottawa wide, company-wide numbers, right? So any questions about this? This is, I think, one of the most important pages, second only to the next one, which is your daily contact target. So earlier I talked to you about what is the cost of admission to get coaching and accountability with me or Steve or Ken or Deborah or Barb or any broker manager.
Okay,
Right?
give us your
The cost of
numbers.
admission is page 14, right? What is page 14? Page 14 is your daily contact target. And this is where the activity of real estate pretty much focuses on what you need to do in order for you to be able to achieve your goals. How many contacts do you need per day in order for you to be able to achieve your targets? Why is this number important? Because this number is black and white. It tells me whether you're telling the truth or not. It tells yourself if you're lying to yourself or if you're delusional. Like, this is straight up what it is, right? Because if you're not achieving your daily contact target, there's no way you'll be able to achieve the targets that you've set for buyers or sellers, right? It's the hard truth, right? So when you look at it, how do we arrive at these figures?
Why is it just walking around with me?
So your daily contact target, where do you get this number from? From page 13, answer number 10, when you complete your business plan, total clients needed to reach your goal. In this example, it's 52, right? How many contacts needed to get a client, right? So this number varies, right? The 35 is based on research. This is from RE/MAX, you know, International, and all of the figures that are provided based on the transactions that we do versus the number of clients we talk to. But it could be fair to say that maybe you need 100 contacts to get one client, right? And again, not every client closes, right? It might be that you need 1,000 contacts to get a client, right? So 35 is a very generous number, if you will, right? And it is reasonable in the sense that if you're working with past clients, sphere of influence, or if you're very good at what you do, maybe you only need to talk to 35 people to get one client working with you, right? But if you're cold calling, if you're door knocking, open house leads, lead generation online, you might be looking at anywhere between 100 to 1,000 contacts that you have to make before you hit a client, before you get a client. Isn't that true?
Well, it's sales, right?
It's sales, right? So what I want you to realize is that contacts needed to a client, this is a sample figure. I want you to put in, based on your own personal examples, what works out for you. So if you've been doing lead generation, you have to keep track. How many contacts did you have to make to get one client? And a client is defined as somebody who is a motivated buyer, seller, signs a contract with you. That's a client. A client is not closing, right? That's different. Because you might be taking a client out, but they may not end up buying. Or you might have listed a client's home, but they may not end up selling. So let's look at just this level for now, right?
ABC clients.
Exactly, ABCD clients, right? We talk about that in our launch program coming in the subsequent courses, right? So when you look at how many contacts you need, where do you get this figure from? If you look at your 2018, and this is why you should be tracking your numbers, if you look at 2018, how many contacts did you make in total, right? Simi's where is she? She's gone. She just joined us last week. She mentioned that she was coming from another RE/MAX, right? Ask her how many contacts she makes. She does cold calls, door knocks, and you'll be surprised, right? And I know a lot of you are doing the same thing, right? If you're working again with a lot of past clients in sphere that you know, it may not be as many. But if you're starting out in the business, you might be looking at several hundreds of thousands of contacts. What you do is in 2018, how many contacts did you make? How many clients did you sign up? So how many listings did you get? How many BRAs did you get, right? So you divide, let's say I contacted 1,000 throughout the whole year, and I got 10 clients, right? That means it's a 1 to 100 ratio, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 10 times. Is it? Yeah? Yeah, okay. Just making sure, right? So then you would put 100 there, right? So if you needed 52 and contacts needed to get a client is 100, you had to make 5,200 contacts. That's a lot, right? This is where the wake-up call is. This is our job, right? Contact support in real estate, our job is to get face-to-face or over the phone or email conversation or text message conversation, right?
Like ideally, this number should go down like as you become more experienced.
Exactly. a
right?
good
Like
point,
you're,
Brenda.
so, I mean, that's something that you should track yearly
But even
too.
for experienced people, it can vary from month to month, year to year, or
But I mean,
because,
generally speaking, like
yeah, of course.
more experienced people, it should take a less number of people to close,
course.
right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's true.
You will reach a point that you don't need to call; they will call you, of course.
Yeah, and that reduces your numbers. That reduces your numbers.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? So it could be 1 out of every 2 contacts now, or 1 out of every 5, or 1 out of every 10. Right?
It does.
Right? So I mean, in some of the training programs, for example, if you have a 200 database for your past client center of influence, 10% of that 20 might transact into a deal. So you do the math, right?
Yeah.
So annual contacts needed to reach your goal. Multiply that number. Let's crunch these numbers now for you guys, just for getting to give an example, right? So let's say, for example, you need, somebody give me a number of clients you need next year, or this year, sorry, 2019. How many clients you need?
25.
25, okay? And how many contacts needed to get one of those clients?
50?
50?
Yeah.
Okay, so 25 times 50. Is it 1250? Is it?
Yes,
You
I think so.
You trusting my
Let's see.
50 times
Come on.
25. 1250, not bad, eh? 1250. Okay. So your annual contacts number is 1250. Daily contacts needed 5 days per week in order for you to reach your goal. So here's a shortcut. We're going to take that 1250 divided by 250. Why 250? 250. What does that stand for?
250, like, work
250
days?
work days, right? How many of you want to work 365 days this year?
Harry.
Raise your hand, Harry.
No.
270 days. You must work 370 days in 2019. 250 days assumes that almost 115 days you have off. That's like what,
that's a
almost
lot.
4 months. 4 months of traveling. There you go, right? But that's weekends, holidays, vacation days, right? How many of you would be happy to work 250 days per week? 250 days per year. Right? Why not? So now take your 1250 and divide it by 250. That I can't do. It's about 6 or
5
something.
days.
Right?
Or
So
5
5.
contacts.
Right? How many of you cannot? How many of you cannot make? And this is accountability at its finest.
There you go.
Raise your hand.
He's recording it.
You're all gonna get copies of this. Raise your hand if you cannot make 6 contacts a day. Raise your hand. Nobody wants to raise their hand. Okay, now tell me the truth. How many of you cannot make? Okay. Everybody raise your hand. Right? Six contacts a day is very doable. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
So for 25, and so Nizam's example, thank you very much. For 25 clients, maybe you'll get 18 or 20 closings, which is very good. If it's a $15,000 commission check, that's 300 grand. If it's 10,000, that's 200,000, right? Not bad, right? So for 25 clients, you need to make 6 contacts, 250 days of the year. 6 contacts. So from the moment you get up to the moment you sleep, your day's not done until you make 6 contacts. That's very doable.
As in someone you can add to your CRM.
So here's what a contact is. Face to face. You door knock, you have a face to face conversation, that's 1 contact.
Oh.
You can do 6 in an hour. That's doable. But remember, your number of contacts might change if that's your activity. Phone calls where you speak to someone live. So you pick up the phone, you hang up the phone, you didn't speak with, that doesn't count as a contact, right? That's not a contact. Let's be clear about it. You pick up the phone, even if it's a cold call or a warm call, whatever it is, it engages into a conversation of some sort. Even if the person says, no, I'm not interested, that's a contact already, right? It's not a lead, that's a different thing. It's a contact. Personal text, they say hi or whatever, that's not a contact. That sort of thing. I was going to say, we're going to start naming some personal dating sites because I know some of our agents have been using that as, kidding.
Those are
You
gone.
caught it,
The
you
one
caught
that
it.
they used it is gone.
You caught it, right? Handwritten notes, right? A handwritten note is a contact. They put that in there. I mean, for me, sure, maybe it's a bonus for you, right? If you write 5 or 6 handwritten notes. For me, I still want to see something out of that handwritten note, but then again, if it's like a thank you note, it means you've had an interaction with that client at some point too, right? Yeah,
But
personal.
they're not a new client. Though.
No, exactly. So, well, I mean, mind you, contacts could be to your existing sphere. As long as you're not using the same contact over and over again. You call the same person every single day. That doesn't count, right? A personal email, right? Personal email, again, that becomes a conversation, right? So if whatever form of communication you initiate becomes a conversation about real estate, then it'll count as a contact, right? But remember that the number of contacts will vary based on what kind of prospecting you do. Does that make sense? So why is this the ticket to admission to coaching and accountability? Because once you've done all this heavy work with the personal budget, business budget, you figure out your lifestyle number, you calculate your conversion ratios, you know how many clients you need, and you have a daily contact goal, now we have a very clear vision about how you will reach your aspirations, right? If 6 contacts is what's needed for Nizam to retire at 60, you're going to do whatever it takes to make those 6 contacts per day, no matter what. If your aspiration is not strong enough, you're going to look at that number and you're going to say, what? Forget it. I'm just going to sit around and watch Narcos Mexico today, right?
Good show.
Yeah. So I'm just finishing up that series. But it hasn't stopped me from making my daily contacts, right? What's a daily contact worth? Lifestyle number from page 12. Let's say it's 200. Annual contacts needed, we said 1250. Let's say 200 divided by 1250. What does it work out to be? 200 divided by 1250?
160.
160. What would you do if I don't have my wallet with me. Who has their wallet with them? Nobody has their wallet. All of a sudden. We don't have any more money? Like, what's going on? It's 2019. Everybody's broke.
That's
Where's your wallet? Do you have $160 in your wallet?
Yes.
You do, in cash.
Whoa.
You do.
Yes.
Pull it out. Pull it out. Pull out the $160.
Whoa.
Wow, exactly 160? So, okay.
More than that.
So Ozzy has $160 cash, right? Now you see what $160 cash looks like. How many of you would make your contacts if Ozzy paid you $160 cash every time you made a contact? Raise your hand.
I made
Everybody.
those contacts. That's why
You made this contact. That's why you made that money, right? So I'm gonna tell you a joke. Well, it's real. It's not a joke. Somebody in our Richmond Hill office yesterday said they do it for $10, right? Pay him $10 and he'll make a contact, right? So this is a realization point, right? $160 for every contact you make. 6 contacts per day. 6 times 160 is 636. 960. So just about $1,000. Every single working day of the 250 out of 365, you're making $960 in cash for the contacts that you make. Is that a job that sounds good for you? Is that a job you take?
Yeah.
The good news is you already have this job. And that job is a RE/MAX Hallmark broker or sales representative. So congratulations to every single one of you. You already have this job, right? So that is your job now. And that's how I want you to think about this, right? That's what I want you to think about, right?
Okay.
That every single time you make this contact, every single day for 250 days, you're getting $160 cash from Ozzy's wallet, right? But it's true, isn't it? Like, no matter how you think about it, it's true, right? Right? So the question becomes, why wouldn't you make those contacts? Why wouldn't you pick up the phone? Why wouldn't you go door knocking? Why wouldn't you, bring a client out for lunch, or a prospect out for lunch, or past client, or somebody in your network? Why wouldn't you do these things, right? The reasons to do it is strong enough for you to pick up the phone or get out there, get face to face with people. And in this example, you only need 6. Some of you need 20. Some of you need 50 maybe, or 100. If you're really hitting the pavement and doing those doors or doing those calls like Simi is, maybe you need 100, right? Maybe the cost might be 20 bucks. Maybe you get paid $20 per lead instead.
Sorry.
But still, 20
We
times
were
100 is
talking
still
about you when
2,000.
you left. On the average, how many phone calls do you make? How many cold calling do you make a day?
600 dials, 100 contacts.
100
A
contacts
day?
on the average
Yes.
a day. And how long would that take you?
In summer and in early fall was a lot easier, so 2 hours to 2.5. Now it's
Really?
about 3 to 3.5.
You have that program that is
Mojo.
automatic Mojo. Yes.
3 dialer. It's worth it.
Or
100% worth it.
$3 is
Yeah,
good.
yeah, it's 100.
Can you
'cause,
manage the timing? Like you're talking and then the other two is ringing?
Yeah, 2.5 hours to 3 hours.
You know what I mean? The $3.
It wouldn't.
The $3
call until you.
Yeah,
So
it picks up.
sometimes-
Mojo will pick up the call
yeah,
that actually
and
picks
then they'll
up.
call back
right?
the-
So the number of dials
Yeah.
is high because Mojo is doing the dialer for you, which is
Yeah.
great to me. But the number of contacts you make is that much because you're only speaking with contacts. right? So a 3 dialer will load up 3 numbers. Whoever picks up connects it with you, right? So we'll bring that up in another class. So this is what I want you to do. As your ticket for coaching and accountability this year, you have to bring me at least this page, just this page. I don't need your personal budget. You can make that up if you want. I don't care about your business budget. You can make that up if you want to. I just need to know what your contact goal is, because that's what's going to help me coach you and hold you accountable for the activities you need to do this coming year. Does that make sense? That's your ticket to admission. Is that okay? So print out that page, provide me with a copy of it, or take a picture of it, however you want. So to wrap up, page 15, I want you to look at what worked for you last year. Because now what we're going to do is define which marketing channels are going to be effective for you in 2019. So where did you get most of your business? Was it from the network? Was it from Lead Street? I mean, Lead Street's fairly new, and I see a lot of leads coming in already from that. Is it from your personal website? Sign calls, FISBOs, open houses. I want you to focus on what you're strong at, right? So if you've done really well with open houses, then that might be one of your 3 marketing channels this year, right? So based on that, page 16 onwards talks about the different marketing targets we have. There's 13 different channels, and I'll name them off for you, and you can read every single one of them. Working with your sphere or your network, right? Open houses, FISBOs, expired listings, just listed or just sold marketing, whether it's through door knocking or cold calling. Purchase online leads or pay-per-click, so you could be with Agent Locator, Boomtown, Commissions Inc., Bold Leads, etc. Demographic farming, geographic farming. What's the difference between demographic and geographic farming? Do you know?
Geographic is a specific place or location. Demographic is you're appealing to a certain audience.
Yes. So demographic is a certain type of audience, whether it's their social class, age, culture,
You
that
cannot
sort of
choose
thing.
the geographic
Right.
when you're working with Democrat.
Yeah, geographic is a physical location, right? Home seller seminars, marketing plan for renters to buy. So are you advertising in rental apartments and getting those people to buy something through you? Are you marketing to rental owners, which are investors, landlords, right? How are you picking those up? Home buyer seminars, building a productive and profitable team. So in the next couple of pages, you're going to see all of the different target channels. I want you to check off 3, right? One of them is already checked off for you, which is your past clients, your network, your sphere. And within each and every single one of these channels, I'm not going to go over it one by one. When we do coaching and accountability, I'll go over the different tasks that you have to do. And the following classes of launch will talk about these specific strategies. So in the next one, we're going to be talking about open houses, right? So within each and every single one of these targets, there's tasks that you need to do. And then we also share the REMAX and REMAX Hallmark tools that are available for you to use in order for you to be able to be effective at these tasks, right? At the bottom, there's also recommended classes. So for example, working with your sphere, one of the recommended classes is a class that I'm teaching next week, January 22, 1 o'clock, at the training center, which is the Digital Real Estate Marketing Bootcamp, right? So depending on the different targets that you have, REMAX Hallmark's training program has the classes that are needed for you to be able to learn what it is you need to do in each of these different targets or different marketing channels for you to achieve your goals. Does that make sense? Right? Page 21 on are a description of the different courses. And some of these are foundational courses, some of them are courses that we've had at the training center, right? But these are the essential courses that you need in order for you to build your business up this year. We do a lot of training. One thing we're doing differently with REMAX Hallmark this year is a lot of the training is now going back to the branches. So I've been doing this course every single, for the most part, every week, from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock or just before we start our office meetings. But we're also going to be bringing in a lot more of these courses directly to the branch office level this coming year. These are the courses that you need to take in order for you to be able to be successful. And of course, you can go to trainingandevents.ca to see all of the other courses. Now, the leadership team, under the leadership of Barbara, she's done a lot in terms of developing a lot of these courses. Like, she's our VP of Career Development at Hallmark Group of Companies, which encompasses the entire regions, right? So the next time,
She's still there, right?
she's definitely going to be working a lot this year in order for us to be able to continue. And a lot of these development of these courses are led by her, right? So, next time you see her, just thank her for the fantastic work that she's doing. All right. Trainingandevents.ca, you'll see all the different training programs. Now I'm going to end off with 2 things. Number 1, your package includes a daily activity tracker, right? And as much as I'm asking you for the page 14 of your business plan in order for you to be able to have coaching and accountability, your daily activity tracker is the proof that you're doing your work, right? It's proof that you're doing your work. One of the things that I'm going to ask you when you come in for weekly or monthly or bi-weekly, whatever it is, not once a year, let's not do this once a year, right? I'm going to ask you for page 14 of that business plan, and I'm going to ask you for your daily activity tracker. What have you been doing? So don't come to me if you have your contact goal but you're not doing your daily activities. Doesn't make sense. We'll just be staring at each other, right? Right? If you're having challenges meeting your daily contacts, you've set contacts, and your daily activity tracker shows that even though your contact goal is 20 and you're only getting 3 or 4, that's where we start dissecting your business. And that's where we start figuring out, what's going on, right? Maybe we need to take classes. Maybe we need to redevelop some of the skills that you have, right? A lot of you are fantastic. Like, you're great realtors, right? But sometimes it's just a matter of clarity, right? Removing distractions, removing obstacles, building up a proper system, a proper plan for you to execute, right? Raising awareness, right? So last year I've gotten a lot of, this is what's happening with my business, what's going on with buyers, what's going on with my listings. The expenses are becoming overwhelming, right? Well, these weren't complaints that we were getting when a lot of realtors were doing extremely well and the market was very easy, right? In this year and probably in the years to come, right? The true realtor, like the true agent, which is the people in this room, you're the ones that are going to arise and do better than the industry because you have the tools that's necessary and you have the training to back you up and you have the coaching and accountability programs that you need in order for you to build successful businesses. And that's the straight up truth. So I'm very confident about every single one of you, right? But I want you to reach out to me so that we do these coaching and accountability sessions so that we keep you on track. That's really what's stopping a lot of us from achieving goals, right? All of you have high goals and high aspirations, right? And sometimes you beat yourself up for not being able to achieve it. But the truth is, number one, you're already doing better than the industry average, right? Based on the numbers that we've calculated for 2018, we are doing better than the industry average, right? In the entire regions that we operate out of. Because it's a different breed of realtor that we have at RE/MAX Hallmark, a different culture, right? But I wouldn't, don't beat yourself up for not achieving your goals. You're setting very high goals, right? What you need to realize is that we need to work on your systems, your business, your daily activities in order for you to be able to achieve those goals, right? You're doing great, but yes, definitely we can do a lot greater. We can definitely raise the bar even more, right? Your daily activity tracker is proof that you're doing the work. So Simi, she showed me her numbers from her actual system. She's doing the work, right? When you come in with a coaching and accountability session for me, I'm going to ask you for the activities that you're doing, right? And then we'll figure out where's the disconnect between your daily activities and your goal, and we'll identify the different things that you need to do. Next, I asked you earlier, how many goals did you set for 2019? Did you set 100? Did you set for 200? Well, there's a study that shows that the fewer goals you set that are properly defined, the more successful you will be, right? This study the source of it was Professor J. Scott McLagan from the University of Denver Executive MBA program, and 11 to 20 goals set. Number of goals achieved with excellence, 0, right? So if you have 100 goals, and I know there's certain motivational books and speakers that talk about goal setting and all that and say set a lot of goals, right? 4 to 10 goals, 1 to 2 achieved, 2 to 3 goals, 2 to 3 achieved with excellence. I want you to use your 2019 RE/MAX Hallmark goal setting sheet, make 3 copies of it, and set 3 goals. That's it. You only need 3 goals this year, right?
Business related, you mean?
Could be anything.
Personal.
Could be anything. Personal, business, doesn't matter what it is. But what do you need to have your goals to be effective? The goal must be very specific and measurable, not vague or complicated. I want to make a lot of money this year. Is that vague or is that specific? That's very vague. I want to earn $250,000 in gross commission income before December 31st, 2019. Is that vague or is that specific? So that's specific. I want to work out. Is that vague or specific?
Vague.
That's vague, right? I want to, how do you even measure, right? So I use a 5x5 strength training program on my, as an app, right? It's very specific as to 3 workouts a week. What do you need to do specifically? What weights you need to lift, etc. right? So be specific about that goal. So it could be, I want to lose 20 pounds by summer, right? 2019, not summer 2025, right? The goal must have an exact time frame. Having too many goals causes loss of focus, right? If you have 100 goals, you're going to be going crazy trying to achieve every single one of them. If you have 2 to 3 goals, there's no way you couldn't focus, right, on achieving those 2 to 3 goals specifically, right? You might need help. As you list the strategies you use, it might involve other people or resources. So part of this goal setting sheet and why it's going to be very effective for you this year is that it sets your specific measurable goal. What is the time frame that you need in order for you to be able to achieve it? And what is the progress time frames? What's the progress time frames, right? So for example, if your goal is for the whole year, you're going to measure your progress in quarters. So what do you achieve after the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, right? What do you achieve? If your goal is, CRM by the end of this month, or by the end of next month, because we're already halfway through, maybe every single week you've done a specific target or goal, a specific task to achieve that goal, right? So all of these are available. Again, it's going to be available on Hallmark Hub under Business Planning Tools. For those of you who have given their shortcut to www.rem.ax/hbp, you can print it out. You can use be paperless and help the environment out, right? Sorry for printing out all of these trees, but again, I'm here to help you guys out, right? Everybody in the leadership team and all of our broker managers, we're here to help you out this year. We're very excited about 2019. We're very excited about what you're going to be able to achieve, right? So come and see me. Come and see any of us if you ever need any help. And as always, I appreciate your continued support, right? And if there's anything I can do to help you build your business, or if you have any colleagues in the industry who may not be with RE/MAX Hallmark yet, then I can do something to help them build their business. Feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to help. All right? Thank you very much. Before we wrap up, I want to do a story. So